Alright, welcome back to Unit 6, and we're going to cover the first part of Unit 6, which covers the ListBox and the ComboBox. Now, these can seem intimidating and a bit confusing at times, but the key to remember here with the ListBox and ComboBox is that they're just a tool that allows the user to select more than one option, and they go hand in hand with the if statements that we've learned from Unit 5. So the key here is that if you understand Unit 5 with how to use the if-then statement, then the ListBox and ComboBox is really not that much more difficult. In fact, it's pretty much the exact same thing as we learned in Unit 5. We're just using a different type of way to have a user select an option. So again, it's like a radio button, it's kind of like a checkbox, but it's a little bit better. You can put more options in a ListBox and a ComboBox. Now, if you look at your Visual Studio, you'll see that this is what the ListBox looks like, and this is what the ComboBox looks like. You can find them in your Common Control right here. Have your ComboBox right here, and you have your ListBox right there. All right, and when you put them in, they just kind of look like this. Again, the default name for a ListBox or a ComboBox will be ListBox 1 or ComboBox 1, like we've learned with everything else. Now, this ListBox is currently empty. If we want to put something into a ListBox, there are two ways to do so. If you look over in the properties over here, and down where it says collection, if you click on that, there should be this little box that shows up with 3 dots in it. And that will allow you to add things, string values, into the ListBox. Additionally, if you click on the little arrow right here on the ListBox, if we go back to our ListBox on the form, click on the little arrow right here, you can see there's something called Edit Items. And here you can also enter items into a ListBox. Let's say, for example, that this is a program where we want the user to select some fruit from the ListBox. So here, we'll just simply write some fruit. So we have orange, apple, maybe grape, and maybe pineapple. Now, here's the important thing. Every single item in the ListBox must be on its own separate line. As you can tell, I'm clicking right here. You can see that. Orange is on its own line. Apple is on its own line. The grape is on its own line. And the pineapple is on its own line. So each item is on its own line. And as we have learned in class from the notes, the first item, so this one right here, the orange, the first line, that is position 0. And as we move down, we'll see apple is on position 1, grape is in position 2, and pineapple is in position 3. All right, so if we hit OK, you can see now that my list is populated with orange, apple, grape, and fruit. Now let's take a look at my coding. So here I have a dim fruit name as string. So in other words, I'm going to use this to hold my value whenever I select a different fruit. Now, if we go back to our ListBox, let's double click on the ListBox. Let's make a private sub with our ListBox. So here's a private sub with the ListBox. This private sub is what is called a selected index changed. Now, remember in class, we covered there are two ways to access the materials in a ListBox. We can use either the selected index property or the selected item property. The selected index refers to the position. Remember, index refers to the position. Item refers to the actual name of the item itself. So, what's selected index change? What this means right here is whenever the user selects a different index, whenever the user selects a different position, something's going to happen. That's basically what this private sub is here for. So I'll write a comment here. Whenever the user selects a different index / position, something will happen. Again, good to do. Just kind of get familiar with learning how to write your comments correctly. That way you know what's going on in your coding. Now here we want to say, based on what the user selects, we want the fruit name, our variable from up here, to update to the fruit that's there. So if we look back in our form, back in our ListBox, you can see we have orange, apple, grape, and pineapple. So basically, if I select orange, I want orange to go into my my variable. All right. So we use an if statement. So we'll say if ListBox1 dot selected index equals to, and now remember when we learned in class, you could do -1. A -1 means that nothing has been selected. So basically, the user didn't select anything, and that's just a fail-safe to make sure the program doesn't crash. In our case, we're not going to worry about that, so we'll delete that and we'll put a 0 in there. Remember, 0 represents the 0 position. When the user selects orange, orange is in the 0 position. So let's write a comment here. This will be when the user selects the 0 position. And then we want to say fruit name is equal to orange. So notice what's happening here. I'm saying that when the user selects, all right, when the user has selected or when the user has changed the index of the list box, and if that selected index is 0, then the fruit name is going to be orange. So notice if the user selects orange, that's what's going to happen. The word orange will go into fruit name. We can do this for all the other ones. We can say else if listbox1.selected index equals 1. This moves down to the second position or the first position, number 1 position. All right, and then this will be fruit name equals, I think this was apple. All right, and notice what we're doing here. This is nothing more than if-then statements. So this should be very familiar to you if you have mastered your if-then statements well. And this is the key. A lot of things come from the if-then statements. So part of programming is making sure you understand how to write your if-then statements properly. All right, and then this is grape. And then our last one, we'll top it off with position 3. And this is when fruit name will be equal to pineapple. All right, so now we have all this written. So basically all these fruits are going to go into my variable right here. Now, I still need to output it, right? I need to show the user what they've chosen. That's what button 1 is here for. So when the user clicks on button 1, then it's going to show them their choice. So we'll say when the user clicks on button 1 right here, all right, we want to say message box dot show, and we want to say something like you have selected, all right, and then we'll put our little concatenation in there, and then fruit name. And so this will tell the user what they've selected. So let's run it, and let's see if this actually happens. All right, we want to make sure that our program runs correctly. So again, here I have my different fruits in my list box. All right, and so let's say I select apple. So now that I selected apple, what should happen in the coding is by selecting apple, I am now at this part of the code here because I'm in position 1. Remember, orange is in position 0, position 1, 2, and 3. And now with apple and my fruit name, if I click on button 1, you should see you have selected apple. And this is exactly what we see from our message box based on what our list box has done. All right? Very good. So now let's do it this way. Let's say we wanted to use the selected item property. So again, now this time we're using the selected index. All right, you can see this here, selected index. Let's change this over to selected item. Now what is selected item? Selected item is a lot more precise than selected index. With a selected item, we're looking for the very specific word that the user has selected. All right? And so we wouldn't say that the selected item is 0. No, instead we would say something like the selected item is orange. So here with the selected item, we're looking at the actual word itself. Now remember, with selected item, it has to be spelled exactly like it is in the list box. In other words, if there's a capital O, I have to put a capital O. If there's a space, I have to put a space. Commas, periods, all that comes into play. And this is a lot trickier, but a lot more specific, which is really, really nice. So let's finish this out. So let me go and change all these for you real quick. So we want to change this also to, all right, selected item. And this one we want to say apple, right? So we're looking to see if the user has selected apple for some reason. All right, and then the next one will be grape. All right, and then the final one we'll do with pineapple. All right, let me run it, and let's make sure this works. So again, here I have my program. I select apple or grape. Let's go grape since we did apple last time. By selecting apple, I am now in this part of the coding. And then when I hit button 1, there you go. I have selected grape. Again, notice how it's now instead of looking at the position. All right, so I'm going to delete this comment so we don't confuse you. We're not looking at the position anymore. We're looking when the user selects the word orange from the list box. Again, much more specific. Much more specific here. All right, so list boxes and combo boxes work the exact same way. You might say, we haven't done anything with the combo box yet. And I'll say, it looks the exact same way. So I'll do the exact same thing over here. So I'll say something like orange, apple, grape, and pineapple. Now, with the combo box, you won't see it, but this will act like sort of a drop-down menu. Now, if we double-click on this, we can do the exact same thing, but this time it will be with the combo box. So if ComboBox 1 dot, and then we selected index just for sake of argument again, equals 0, then so on and so forth. Fruit name is equal to orange. And again, the combo box works the exact same way. So I'm not going to spend much time on it, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So this is my combo box right here. If I click on it, you can see that I have my orange. I select it, hit button 1, and once again, I get orange once more. And I could continue this coding right here and get all the different positions or all the different selected indexes. Nothing has really changed here. So I want you to see here that the ComboBox and ListBox function almost exactly the same. They're very similar concepts. And I want you to see here that the concepts are focused by using this if-then statement. This is a if-then-else ladder like we learned back in Unit 5. So hopefully this has been a helpful review. Again, just make sure you remember that a ListBox and a ComboBox work very similar, and they both use if-then statements.